Hey everybody, Brian Goody again in for Christy. I'll be in one more day for Christy for tomorrow morning, and then Ryan Hoke will be stepping in for Friday morning. And by the way, Christy's on the evening shift this week filling for Kevin. We're all over the place. At some point, I'm sure I'll be doing sports. I actually kind of doubt it. I'd be horrible at it. Anyway, let's talk about this front. It's going to move in, and several other features that are unique showing up here for the rest of October. They're going to be adding some model headaches, basically, it looks like, as we continue on through this 10th month of the year. First off, our severe weather outlook for today. No worries here. Now, as we head into tomorrow, we see the thunderstorm line get right up on us, and the marginal risk for severe weather closer to Illinois and Des Moines into Iowa. And then as we jump into Friday, I mentioned this before, it's all about the timing of the front, the marginal risk, about where I expected it to be in East Kentucky into portions of the Mid-Atlantic, where that closer to the low pressure. The low pressure is tracking like this, so it's going to be along that low as we're going to have a band of wind that is going to be marginally enough for some wind gusts that could produce a strong storm or two. I'm not going to go into the parameters today because for us, the parameters look, at this point, less of a threat than what they did even yesterday. But if that changes tomorrow, I'll go back into it. But right now, I don't see a reason to waste your time on the video to talk about it. So let's talk about how beautiful it is right now. We've had some river fog this morning, valley fog, and thanks for the pictures. Appreciate that. Nice sunrise, nice blue sky on our Kentucky One Skytrack camera now in Shepherdsville. And warming up once again steadily. We'll do just like we did yesterday. We had 84 yesterday. I think we'll hit about 83. We do have some high, thin clouds moving in. We got 67 now. And you can see these clouds moving in from the west. I think that will be just enough to keep us from matching exactly right at 84. Probably like 83. And now I'm getting picky about temperatures here. But that's kind of how it's looking anyway. But the point in that is there's nothing major coming our way that's really going to cause a lot of headaches for us. So that is the setup for today. Now let me explain the players we have on the field. Let me start with Canada. Area of low pressure in Canada. Everything, it's a slow mover right now, so it's a blocking pattern, especially in Canada at the moment. So everything has kind of to go around it. If it wants to get through, to get to the other side past Nova Scotia, it's got to go south. And we're seeing that low pressure now, one of them anyway, moving in across Vancouver. It's moving into southwest Canada. It can't go due east. It's going to have to drop and go southeast. And that's the one that's going to bring in the front past our area tomorrow night into Friday and give us the cooler weather as we head into at least the start of the upcoming weekend. But also notice, and it's just off the map here, we have a hurricane that is forecast to move northeast. I'll talk about that in a second. And then our last player in the field is this cutoff low that was once tropical in nature, that is kind of sitting here in the desert southwest. This is helping in keeping the ridge fairly strong as well into the southwest part of the corner. That also forces everything to go around it. And then, of course, you got the low into Canada. So there's only a narrow path that areas of low pressure have to travel in. And I really don't see this pattern changing significantly over the next couple of weeks. So any type of cool shot that comes to the United States is going to want to get pushed more into New England than it would straight south into, say, the Ozarks or even us here in Kentucky. So that's the one thing I'm noticing in the pattern that is setting up anyway. And that's based on, again, the players that we have on the field at the moment. We'll get into that in more detail in a second. First off, let me discuss this front moving in. A lot of you have had questions about timing here. Dry today. It'll be dry tomorrow. This is all going to be Friday morning. And the models, the short-range models, have slowed down slightly to match some of the global models we had yesterday. Nothing drastic, but it's drastic enough that the rush hour is questionable. This is at 4:30 in the morning now. This is the RPM model. It doesn't show any rain here, and it has every day up until this point. Now suddenly this particular run, which will update again here shortly, will probably bring it back again, who knows. But either way, the front is going to be moving in on us near rush hour Friday. The question is, will it have a solid band of rain with it or a broken band of rain? And will it be in Louisville at the core of rush hour, which is generally 5:30 in the morning until about 8 a.m. Because we know what happens when we get steady rain in our area during that time. Chaos on the roadways. And we may get lucky and it may be still across Indiana and we can get through rush hour before it moves in, or we may not be lucky and it'll be right on us. So stay tuned for timing specifics on that. We don't have enough data just yet to nail it down that close of a window, but we're getting close. All right, either way, the front moves in. Now, it's showing some thunderstorms reacting here, and this would be actually a fairly little potent little storm with some gusty winds maybe rolling through here midday across central Kentucky. I'm not sure I'm buying that just yet, but we'll watch it, especially since the best winds are located more into Ohio than they are here. Either way, watch what happens. By midday, we have this front moving in. Here comes the band of heavier rain at some point along the front, but then the front just doesn't move any. At 7:30 in the afternoon, it's still there. Now, let me rephrase that. The front itself is gone. It's to the south of us. But we get a lot of post-front activity, a lot of showers, a lot of low-hanging stratus clouds, and it's a cool northerly flow. So this is a chilly rain I'm talking about here, not lightning and thunder. A chilly rain, if not just drizzle. So if this front does allow for a decent, if again the front's here, we get a lot of stratiform, we get a lot of the drizzle, low clouds, cool weather behind it, it could make for a not so pleasant Friday afternoon. We do have a Way Through News concert series at 5 o'clock, by the way, at the KFC Yum Center Plaza. And of course we got the area high school football games going on, so we don't need anything nasty to really take place during this period. And it's only a recent change I've seen in the models so far. So I'm going to trend slightly toward that. You'll see that in the 7-day forecast. But we'll give it another day and see if this idea of post-front activity is still there. Either way, we'll be cooler and cloudier. And in fact, it may take a little while to get rid of the clouds until about sunrise on Saturday, if not a little bit later. The quicker we clear out, the lower we're going to drop Saturday morning. If we stay cloudy, we'll be in the 50s. If we clear out, lower 40s cannot be rolled out, especially across our northern counties early on Saturday. So Saturday looks cool. We will not get out of the 60s, it looks like, on Saturday. But we get a south wind back here on Sunday, so I think the 70s will come back for Ironman. But Sunday morning may be chilly for Ironman, so just heads up there. As far as rainfall potential, it will depend if we get thunderstorms. The model you just saw, again, had that little complex that rolled over us at high noon on Friday, and that's the reason why it's giving us more than 3/4 of an inch. The rest of the models, generally about a 1/4 of an inch. If you had to average this out, a 1/4 of an inch. A 1/4 of an inch seems fair. I think a lot of places would probably end up lower than that. It really would just depend if thunderstorms develop. If you get a thunderstorm, it won't take much at all to get that total to become more of reality, but that's going to be isolated, not widespread. So stay tuned. All right. I mentioned now that hurricane east of Hawaii. Hawaii's had some close calls. This is like the 4th or 5th one. It has been like around Hawaii. Tells you how warm the water has been here in the central and east Pacific with the El Nino. In fact, the warmer water now beginning to shift more to the west and starting to cool slightly into the east, which is interesting. We'll discuss that in the winter outlook. Either way, but look at the track that Hurricane Oho, I hope I say it right, anyway, is doing. It's going to eventually move to the north toward southwest Canada. That is an odd track. And this is not a National Hurricane Center name, by the way. This is a Central Pacific naming office that gave it the name OHO. Now, I don't think it shouldn't change names. I don't recall that they really do that in the Pacific. I know we don't really have to deal with that in the Atlantic, but either way, this is going to head into the National Hurricane Center's domain as it gets closer to the United States and moves toward Canada. Yes, weekends, obviously. But it is going to pump in some energy here into Alaska, into Canada. And the question is, how is that going to affect the weather pattern downstream? So let's look at that. Here is this is the European model we're looking at. Here is OHO now. We already have a low pressure near the Aleutian Islands. The cutoff low is there. It's hard to see it on the pressure maps. And we have a weak low pressure here that is moving in across Canada now. But this is the one that's really going to drop down. And here's the blocking low over Canada. And then here's Joaquin. We got a lot to look at. So let's advance the map. Here we go into the 9th. This will take us into, what is the 9th? Got to count. That's it's Friday, right? Okay, Friday. So here we are Friday, and here is the low pressure moving through the Ohio Valley. There's the front with the rain with it. OHO moves right here. It dumbbells in with another area of low pressure over Alaska. At the same time, with our cutoff lows still at play here, we're getting the ridge being pumped in still across the western part of the country. So everything still has to go southeast. Now, if we didn't have this other low, so there's another low that sneaks in here on the 11th. If we didn't have this, I would be really curious to see what would have happened here, if this would have created a deeper trough into the northern tier of the country. But this low will prevent that from really happening. In fact, it's going to help pump in another warming trend back into our area as it crosses Canada after we get past this weekend. But as it does so, it will drop another front around the 13th, 14th, somewhere around there. Another little cool blast of air behind it. but then it's gone after that. And notice the trend. I mean, a fairly decent ridge, and then a deep, troughs that keep digging into New England. And the reason why is the NAO, which is a blocking signal. It's mainly positive. So these systems can't slow down much. They just keep going. And the PNA is positive, so it allows them to take some dips, but with NAL not being negative, the pattern is fairly progressive. There's not a whole lot of blocking that's happening East Coast for us anyway. That's the way it looks today. Enjoy the weather.